All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going through a series of Java programs that I'm creating, many of which I'm creating either on the fly or I'm modifying something I'd created earlier on the fly. And we are up to Chapter 10 of our text, which is the PDF of Java, starting out with early objects or whatever it's called, Tony Gaddis 6th edition. And I'm going to create an interface right now. What I'm going to do in here is I'm going to add all of the constants that we are going to use in this particular program. All right? So I'm going to have one focal point where I'm going to be able to get all my constants. Even though, I'm going to have constants in here that are going to be payroll constants. I'm going to have constants in here that are going to be hourly constants. I'm going to have constants in here that are going to be salaried constants, and I'm going to have constants in here that are going to be commission constants. In addition, and I don't know if this will work, but I'm going to try to add an abstract method in here too, just so you can see it in action, so to speak. All right, in fact, no, I'm not going to add that in here because it's an interface. I will add that, we'll see. All right, so static. Double, you've seen a lot of this stuff before. Max, non-OT, equal 40.0. Maximum non-OT hours. Static, double, OT rate 1.5, overtime rate, and you know that's time, and 1/2. All right, so I can't put my typical comment here that says declare and initialize program constants. I'm going to separate each one of these out though. All right, so those, in fact, this would only be used for hourly employees. I guess everything in here is either going to be hourly or commission or salaried. All right, now this is going to be very interesting as I'm looking at this in here. So, all right, I want static, double, min hours. You've seen all this before. So the minimum hours somebody can work is 0.0. Minimum hours for hourly employee. Let's copy this twice. You'll see why in a second. We'll have maximum numbers for an hourly employee, and that will be 84. All right, we will also have something called def hours for default hours. So if we don't specify something, we'll just default it to 40 hours. All right, let's make 3 more here. Where we'll have min, rate, max, rate, and default rate. All right, so the minimum rate will be the minimum hourly employee pay rate. All right, we'll put, let's make it a little bit bigger here. Let's make it, 250. All right, that'll be the maximum hourly employee pay rate. All right, and let's set the default to, I don't know, 25. So that'll be the default hourly employee pay rate. So when you just hire somebody in off the street, all right, for whatever it is. I don't know what this is. All right. So let's make about 6 of these for commission employees. All right, so this is declare and initialize program. We'll call this here class hourly constants, okay? This will be for our class commission. And we'll say that the minimum sales that we're going to expect somebody to have, again, they could be sick, they could be on vacation, and that'll be minimum sales commission employee. And I'm going to copy this. We'll have maximum sales, and we'll say that the maximum we'll suppose will be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make it one more. $1 million. All right, so that's the maximum. And we'll give a default sales value in here. And we'll put the default at, I don't know, how about around 10,000? Okay, so that'll be the default sales. Okay, this is coming together. Well, if we're going to have sales, we also need to have some kind of a commission rate. So I'm going to copy these, paste them in, and we'll have a minimum, we'll just call these, this will be the minimum commission rate, the maximum commission rate, and the default commission rate. All right, now these are going to have to change these values. Minimum, we'll call this com rate for a commission employee. I'm just going to abbreviate commission to com. All right, so the minimum rate that somebody can have, we'll say the minimum that you can make is 10%. So 0.1. You get 10% on all your sales. All right, the maximum rate that you can make, we're going to give it, we'll be fairly generous, 33%. All right, so you make 33% on there. And we'll say the default, let's be generous there too. And we'll make that 25%. These are these are all arbitrary values. Just so you know that. And I want you to understand that every one of those is an arbitrary value. All right. What do I have left? I did my okay, I'm going to add in here so I've got an hourly, I've got a commission, and I need my salaried. All right. Let's call it class. Yeah, we can call it salaried. That's fine. That'll be commission. That'll be hourly. That looks good. Let's see. Let's say the only thing that they have is a rate. In fact, let's change these rates that we have here. We'll call this minimum hourly rate, maximum hourly rate, and default hourly rate. All right, I like that a little bit better. Okay, now we can call this maximum salary rate and default, and we need a minimum also. we'll need a default salary rate. Okay? So, a salaried employee makes a minimum of, let's just say this is weekly. Okay? Let's say that the minimum that they can make is $1,000 a week. All right, and the maximum that they can make is $10,000 a week. And the default, so if somebody is just starting, let's say, we'll default it to $2,500. All right, so that's the minimum salaried employee rate. That's the maximum salaried employee rate, and that's the default salaried employee rate. Okay? Now, part of my problem here, and I've got many problems, but part of my problem here is I'm grabbing from two different programs that I did. And I'm going to have to go and dig through these in just a bit, but I want to add one more class. All right? So I'm going to put that in here. These will be what are called piece worker employees. And piece worker employees, and of course now I lost my page. There we go. They get paid by how many pieces they make. All right? So I'm going to call this min PPP, which stands for price per piece. This will be called max PPP for the maximum price per piece, and def PPP for the default price per piece. All right. So the minimum that anybody can make for a piece that they create is a penny. In fact, let's even be a little nicer than that. We'll make the minimum a dime. All right. The most they can make for each piece that they make is $1. And the default we will set at a quarter. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about here, and I'm going to assume for a second that you don't. All right. Minimum piece worker price per piece. Now, years ago, this isn't a Wayback Machine, and this is probably in something about Jeff's life you could care less about. But Jeff has a brother, Mike, who for years worked at Evinrude Motors in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And he worked on the assembly line for many years, and then he got promoted to supervisor. But when he was on the assembly line, he would tell me about the people that he worked with. And he had a lot of people that he worked with that didn't do very much. But they got paid based on how many pieces they created. And even if they went into the bathroom and sat in there and did their job and read a book or did whatever for an hour, they got a certain amount, whether they created any pieces or not. Other people who busted their hump would get more per hour because they made more pieces. All right? And other people who were slower got less. And that's what this is. So I'm hoping to have an hourly, a commission, a salaried, and a piece worker. All right? I'm hoping to put all those in there. In addition, now I want to come in and I'm going to have to go back. I apologize for this, but I want to check through because I want to show you this the right way. Oh, come on, give me an example here. That's abstract. Interfaces. It says here just method headers. All right. So I'm going to try something. Again, I may end up getting an error on this. I may have to change this, but we're going to try it anyway. All right. So these are all of our constants. Notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for hourly employees. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for commission employees, 3 for salaried employees, and 3 for piecework employees. So we have 20 constants. And I'm going to also put in here public, and again, I'm trying to be consistent here, so bear with me if you would for a second. Oh, let's try this. That's what I want. All right, so regardless of the type of employee that we have, they should all be able to get a gross pay. All right? But they will all get a gross pay in a different way. But since every one of these employees that I'm about to create, and I'm already must be getting up there, I am, so I'm going to stop it in just a minute here, and this will just be on the interface. But starting next, when I create the actual employee, I've got my choice. I could put that in here. In fact, I don't think I am going to now that I think about it. I'm going to put that in my abstract employee class that I'm going to create in just a minute. So the only thing that I have in here in my interface are constants. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And you might say, well, that whatever, Jeff, but why would you even do that? Well, think about this. This interface, which I'm saving in its own file as ipayroll.java, all right, you'll notice it doesn't look Java-ish in that there's no class, there's no main, because it is an interface file. All right, but I could use this and start putting this in as part of a class library where I could have other classes be able to use this. And that's my hope as we go on. So let me save this file, save all. And when I come back next, I'm going to create the payroll class. Now, it's going to look a little bit different, all right, because what I'm going to have in here is a first name, a last name, a social security number, and not much more as I'm looking through this. Why? Because every employee, regardless of whether they're hourly or commission or salaried or pieceworker, every employee has a first name, a last name, and a social security number. All right? So I will add all of that. Okay? In addition, in there, I will overwrite the toString, and I will overwrite our gross pay. So I'll be back to do those in just a couple minutes.